This is 7.3 example 1, and the majority of the problems are going to be something similar to this. The big difference in 7.3 versus 7.2 is that now when you're asked about a probability, it's talking about a sample mean instead of an individual. So within the problem, the way to recognize this is if it gives you a sample size, then you have to do something with it, which is going to be basically the same thing in all of these problems. In the 7.2, you're never given a sample size. And the other way to recognize that is that on a quiz, up in the right-hand corner, you can see what section you're in. So if you're in 7.3, chances are you're given a sample size and you'll have to do this process. So again, they're asking what is the probability of something, but now it says sample mean, and this situation is the mean math SAT score was 498, standard deviation was 112, and a sample of 63 scores is chosen. In 7.2, it would have just been an individual score being chosen. So if your question for a part of that problem then starts with what is the probability, then you're going to use the same function as you did in 7.2 when it asked what is the probability, which is second vars normal CDF. So we'll go into that. Second vars normal CDF. You've seen this before. In this first one, it says probability that the sample mean score is less than 481. So just like in 7.2, less than means that the number they give you is the upper limit, because that less than 481 means anything from 481 on down. So that's the highest number it can be. And the lower limit is the one that pops up by default in here, which is the negative 1E99. That 1 right there, you can put it in or not. It doesn't change anything. And then just like in 7.2, the mean is the mean that's given to you in the upper part of the problem. So 498. And the standard deviation is where this differs from 7.2. So in 7.2, we would have just put the standard deviation in there, 112. But now we're going to put the standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. So divided by, and then square root is second and x squared, and the sample size is 63. And so this is the one part, the standard deviation, that is going to be different from just how you did everything in 7.2. And enter, and that is the probability that goes in this answer. And if you have the TI-83, you put them in the same order, the lower limit, the upper limit, the mean, and the standard deviation. If the question is asking if it's still a what is the probability, but it's asking about between two numbers, so in this case between 465 and 500, then you deal with that the same way as you did in 7.2, where you do the second vars normal CDF, put in the lower, the upper, the mean, and again the standard deviation is the only thing that's different, where you're going to have the standard deviation divided by the square root of your sample size. And then if it's a greater than, which in this case it also has a would it be unusual. So would it be unusual, you calculate it as though it said what is the probability. This one happens to be greater than, So you'd use the given number as 510, since that's the smallest it can be, and then greater than 510 is going to be 510 up to positive E99. And then the same mean and standard deviation from the top part of the question. And then after you've calculated that, whatever that number is, because this is a would it be unusual question, if the number you've calculated is less than 0.05, then you say it would be unusual. If the number is greater than 0.05, you would say it would not be unusual.